Wheater, who's playing it up to mid-wicket. Again, it's fielded by Sanderson.
Yes, Jonathan confirms that there's the live stream has gone down, and yes, indeed, we have had a word. So
Have a word.
He says, please have a word. I know it's not your remit, but can you have a word? Yes, we have done.
Smothered at the next ball, Adam Wheater coming forward, and safe say, but forward short leg, just looking to see whether Wheater had got his back foot planted before he was considering underarming at the stumps, but he didn't. And that next ball, last one of the over, is pushed up to short extra, fielded there by Kelly, and there's no run. Another maiden for Keogh, 23 overs, 12 maidens, 2 for 31. So he's had a busy time in his 100th first-class appearance for Northamptonshire. End of the over, 285 for 7. So Essex leading by 88. By my watch, what do you reckon, Dick? I think I've got 3 minutes to go till tea, and Taylor coming back into the attack to bowl from the Hayes close end probably means that's all. Probably get one more in, I would have thought.
Oh yes, of course, it's an immovable feast on the final day. It's an immovable
feast on the final day, yes. 22 4. So we still have 37 left. And, well, Tom Taylor nipping out for us cushy just before lunch, and Northamptonshire would dearly love him to do the same to Shane Snater just before tea.
Yes. Kelly moves in now.
Taylor,
I beg your pardon, it was Kelly, and they...
it's his first over back. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. They're a similar build, but there's no real excuse for me to confuse them, because Kelly is dark-haired and Taylor is fair-haired. Taylor's a little slimmer as well. But, no, there's no mitigation, I just got it wrong. One of the side effects, I mean, one of the benefits of getting slightly older is that I find well, maybe it's just me, I'm more prepared to admit when I've got something wrong. When you're younger, you're terrified of admitting you get anything wrong because you think it's a weakness, but we all get things wrong. As my son used to say, that's why they put rubbers on pencils. So, and of course, okay, so it says 30, well, we've got worked out 36.4, but between the innings we'll lose
two.
Lose a couple there, so, yeah.
It's all getting very, very interesting.
It is getting very interesting, I agree.
Just don't need the weather to
no,
to
we
intervene.
We really don't. As Taylor moves in now from the Hayes close end, bowls. And, well, Snater almost looks as if he was trying not to play the shot and involuntarily hit the bat, but maybe just deliberately played it very late.
Looks as though Kent are doing a sterling job on thwarting Yorkshire at the moment. Kent 310 for 6, and that partnership for the 7th wicket ongoing. Kent have moved into the lead now. They're 30 runs ahead of Yorkshire. And it's Grant Stewart and Ollie Robinson doing the job for the White Horse at the moment.
Taylor again moves in and bowls, and Snater plays that out to mid-wicket area. No addition to the score of 285, which represents a lead of 88. Had 3 on to the last 2 digits and knock off the first one, and that's the difference. 88. And Taylor moves in again and bowls. And I've got my windows wide open, which I'm beginning to regret. I must admit, I might do something about during the tea interval. Is there still rain on the what's known as the windscreen?
The windscreen. not doesn't look to be any more.
No.
Can I just mention a lovely message from Oliver Helfrich, who's the very much, I suppose, the leader of the Northamptonshire supporters on the Isle of Man.
All right.
He's a regular correspondent. Great to hear from you, Oliver. He said, he's grown up and spent my formative years in Northamptonshire, worked for a while at the Swinging Sporran in the Western Fable Centre. That'll bring back memories for a lot of people in my part of the world.
That's just played with authority, back to the bowler.
He said, I introduced my 2 Manx kids to Wantage Road approximately 10 years ago. Amazingly friendly club. And I put their current enjoyment and the success in Manx cricket that they're enjoying down to the hours they spend autograph hunting, as you mentioned, Dick, and to the generosity of the Northamptonshire players and the ground staff who are always giving their time and encouragement, loving the commentary. Another totally absorbing match. County cricket, nothing comes close, says Ollie, and I quite agree with him.
And so do I.
T, 285 for 7 then, Essex, so 88 for 7 in effect. We have 36 overs remaining, although as Dick points out, of course, there will be 2 overs docked between innings if that becomes an issue, if Northamptonshire can take the last 3 wickets. So it looks very much as though it's going to go pretty much the distance. We don't need the weather to intervene. The clouds are pretty high, but there's just the odd spot of rain in the air, as I say, we can just see it on our window in front of us. But anyway, at the moment is all to play for Northamptonshire, and I suppose conceivably even for Essex as well. 285 for 7 at tea, 88 runs the lead, Wheater is 17, Snater is 1. We're going to nip off in search of a cup of tea, and I hope you'll rejoin us when we're back with you in about 15 minutes' time.
Welcome back as the players are resuming the field with 285 for 7 on the board. Northamptonshire currently would need 89 if they could get the last 3 wickets down in a hurry. Shane Snater joined Adam Wheater, who's made a very patient 17, and Snater has 1, and Snater will offer Northamptonshire perhaps a little bit better chance of taking a wicket, in that he doesn't really know how to do anything but go after the ball. But on another hand, if he were to connect with more than 3 or 4 blows, he could sort of start to put the required runs for Northamptonshire beyond their reach. Keogh, who got Harmer for 13 shortly before tea, is going to resume from the river end and bowls, and this ball is played back to the bowler by Wheater. We got both a backward short leg and a forward short leg, plus a slip. I'm Paul Newton, with me is Dick Davis, and Andrew Rad will rejoin us at 4:30 as the next ball's tossed right up and played to short mid wicket by Wheater.
Yes, so this could go any of 4 ways, really.
As Keogh's in, bowls to Wheater, and Wheater's turned this for a single. Lead up to 89, the score to 286 for 7, and Wheater along to 18, and I reckon in the 50 minutes before tea, Wheater advanced his score by just a single, actually, so he's already got another one now. He's on to 18. Snater taking strike to Keogh. Snater leaves one outside off stump. Played thoroughly well, let it be said, for his 79 in the first innings, which if Essex do get a draw here, that will for me have been the pivotal innings that enabled them to get it, as the next one's played to mid-wicket. There's no run. Walter made a very fine 93, which is more than Snater's 79 obviously, but for that innings from Snater, I think this game might already be over, as Keogh's in and bowls, and Snater plays the ball out to point. There's no run, and just a single added in the over to Wheater, who has 18. Snater remains on 1. 286 for 7. Essex lead by 89.
So if you were still a betting man, I know you're a reformed character in every possible way, but who would your £5 note be on?
Oh, the draw.
Would it?
Yeah. Yourself?
Well, you know, I'm in a desperate hope of being proved wrong, and dear Northamptonshire listeners too, bear in mind that I'm almost obliged to have a slightly biased hat on it, but not too much. In a desperate hope of being proved wrong, I think the visitors will win.
Right. Well, I think they're up against it, because there's a little bit of rain in the air as well now for the first time.
As Taylor moves in from the far end, bowls to Wheater. Wheater plays it out into the offside. And our screen still says there's no video signal. If any listeners could either confirm whether or not they're getting any pictures or not, then it would be quite grateful. And indeed any sound. I mean, we might even be talking to ourselves. I can remember doing a game years ago at Maidstone. You were with me, Paul, and it was after 40 minutes. We were told, oh no, sorry, the line went down nearly 3/4 of an hour ago.
I do remember it.
We were not happy. That's played out in the offside.
And well, I don't know if you'd remember this, but our broadcasting point was under a tree somewhere.
It was.
It was quite a nice ground, actually.
It was.
And you and I love our outgrounds.
We do.
And greatly lament the fact that they're becoming an endangered species.
Well, it was the moat, wasn't it?
Yes, the moat. Nowadays, remote. But without the control. Yes. No, it's a shame. I mean, obviously, Essex don't play on any outgrounds now, very sadly.
Well, not of their own, no. As Taylor moves in and bowls. And that's played out on the onside.
Yes, a worthy addendum there. Not of their own. And, of course, I think they were 3 lovely grounds, I have to say. Not out of county bias at all, but I think Ilford, South Church Park in Southend and the Castle Park in Colchester were three lovely places to go and watch cricket.
Yes.
And I think, one of the reasons, there's a lot of pessimism about the quality of batting nowadays. I think it doesn't benefit from playing all the games on county grounds throughout a season. The variety that was provided by playing on outgrounds was actually good for the art of batsmanship.
Well, I would have thought so, yes. And there's all this plea for better and better wickets to produce better and better batsmen. It seems to me they're almost putting the cart before the horse.
Yes.
It's because batsmen nowadays can't play, or are less able to play long championship innings, that therefore they're sort of helping them along by insisting that the pitches are much better, whereas, in former times they'd bat out on all sorts of pitches. After all county cricketers have played club cricket, and albeit a very good level of club cricket, but there the pitches are quite challenging, and yet as soon as they get into the county setup they seem to expect feather beds.
Quite agree. Now it's a change of ball. Again, just for a moment, all the players looked as if we were having a minute's silence.
Yes.
And I thought, oh dear, I hope nobody's died. And thankfully they haven't. It's just Nigel Long, who's had to disappear down the hole in the ground on the far side in front of the hospitality suites to get a second ball change. 286 for 7 on the board. And at last, I think we're in danger of seeing play resume.
We are indeed. As Taylor moves in from the far end, the Hayes Close end, to bowl to Wheater. And Wheater plays that almost exaggeratedly defensive shots, which he seems to accomplish so well. Stephen in Hockley, I think, yes. Thanks for the description of the Northampton ground and dual sport use. The other grounds that spring to my mind used for more than one sport. Excuse me. Oh, I do beg your pardon. I had an apple turnover for tea, and it's just sort of... Bramall Lane in Sheffield. Football was that three-sided, he said. The ground, not the match. And St Helens at Swansea, Rugby Union. Any recollections on how those grounds worked? It's just played diligently and defensively. Well, I've never been to Bramall Lane in Sheffield. I've been to the delightful St Helens ground at Swansea many times. Yes, one half of the rugby pitch encroached on part of the outfield, from what I remember, and the other half of the rugby pitch, or a bit more than a half probably, didn't. So they didn't overlap too much. It's a very big playing area, but a fascinating ground. You need the adroit skills of a mountain goat to get up and down from the pavilion and changing rooms. That's beats Wheater's bat outside the off stump, goes through the wicket keeper. Then Stephen goes on to say, I did see attend the Olympic archery at Lord's in 2010. That was most impressive. I recall seeing Colin Milburn at Southampton versus Hampshire in his 1973 comeback, playing with one eye, batting at number 8 and bowling a medium pace. I persuaded my parents to break our Hampshire holiday to go because I wanted to see Richards, Greenwich, Mushtaq and Beatty. It was a glorious day, and one I still recall nearly 50 years later. I remember my dad pointing out John Arlott climbing a rather rickety ladder into the commentary box. I think Southern TV were broadcasting the game and he was working for them.
Nice email that, and here is Keogh beginning a new over to Snater from the river end, and the ball beats the bat, and a smart bit of glove work removes the bails, but Snater had not left base, and he remains on 286 for 7 as Keogh is already on his way again with a slip, a forward short leg and a backward short leg, but close company for Snater, who can leave one outside off stump.
Now then, that's interesting. Thank you, people. We're saying that the streaming's working okay now. Well, it's not in our box, so it's just a local problem. Oh, and Andrew's got it on his laptop as well. So thank you, all of you, namely Ken and Glenn and Elisitano and Clive and Nick, all who pointed out that it's alive and well. Thank you.
2 dot balls, the first of them played back to the bowler and the second one down leg side, and the score remains unaltered. Keogh Very overcast afternoon now, gives us plenty of air. Snater reining in his natural instincts, drops a dead bat on the ball, plays it back to the bowler. I think Essex now are pretty determined just to block away and slam the door in the face of the Northamptonshire attempted victory march, as this one again is slanted down leg side, and Keogh's bowled very well here, but he is rather wasting deliveries to bowl them down leg side when he's got to be looking for wickets. I appreciate he might be looking for a stumping down that route, but Snater showing no signs of leaving his ground. End of the over, 286 for 7.
And of those I just mentioned, I won't read them out all verbatim because they just say, and we're very, very, very grateful to you for saying it, that the sound and picture are working okay. But Glenn says he's just to confirm, we are receiving you both visually and orally, AURAWY, from La Belle, France. Keep up the great work, mes amis. Glenn from Burgundy. Thank you very much. That sounds rather pleasant place to listen and watch from.
It does. I wouldn't mind a glass of Burgundy myself, but
not when you're working.
Yes, but of course, you know, it's always slightly dubious as to whether I'm working or at leisure.
Well, let's put it another way, not when you're picking up a small fee.
The emphasis on the small, folks.
Precisely.
There's a little inverted hat at the door as you go out. All contributions gratefully received. I know how to busk.
And what's going on there, do you think? There are two...
I was changing, and we're having our
change the ball again.
Yeah, the one he's just brought out was apparently square. So, and poor old Nigel Long now is looking thoroughly exhausted on his return here. He must have covered at least a quarter of a mile in quite good time. And let's put a word in for umpires, both the two here. And generally, they do a fantastic job. You have to concentrate all day, and you have all sorts of extra duties. And because there's no official attendant out there to bring the balls out to the middle, Nigel Long is having to go all the way out to the boundary and back.
Yes, there always used to be. What's happened to that, I wonder?
I suppose it's a Sunday, and the local attendants here are very religious.
Must be the reason. As Taylor moves in and bowls. A loud appeal for LBW, and even with the new ball, that doesn't convince the umpire, but it was a very, very confident shout.
Yeah, I think it was just going down leg.
Ah, we do have picture back now. Thank you, technical people.
Kept a bit low was the impression I had, but I also had the impression that it
We'll see now.
Faded to beat leg stump. Let's just have a look. Here we go. Yeah, it was certainly as much on leg stump as to suggest that by the time it reached it, it might well have gone down. And of course, an umpire always has to be certain before giving somebody out, not just to suspect.
And Taylor moves in and bowls. And that's played defensively back to the bowler. Had an email from Carolyn, friend of yours, Paul, I think, from
Carolyn Tanner.
A friend from Racing Circles, I believe.
Indeed. Very good afternoon to you, Carolyn. Thanks for coming in.
In response to your query about no signal, I've been hearing you loud and clear all day. The live stream did disappear before tea, but has returned. Temporarily, at least. Well, I hope not temporarily. If you get any rain, please send it here. I'm fed up with having to water my garden.
Yes, we've had no rain in East Anglia since, I think, April the 7th.
As Taylor moves in, bowls. And that's just played defensively off the back foot by Wheater. Wouldn't be surprised if the floodlights came on soon. It's getting noticeably a little bit murky.
Yeah, definitely. And there is quite a large area of a lower stratum of cloud that's beginning to encroach. Not particularly threatening. Certainly we've been very lucky today in that in other parts of the country we know that it's been raining pretty steadily.
Well, yes, this is one of the few matches that have lasted the distance and not been hindered by the weather. As Taylor moves in again and bowls. That's outside the off stump, and Wheater lets it go through to McManus behind the stumps.
Of course, with 8 points now for the draw, there is extra incentive for teams
too true.
to snatch a draw if they possibly can, because 10 points from the game, though hardly a king's ransom or anything, but it's an awful lot better than the 2 that Essex would get if they didn't manage to get a draw.
Indeed. About 5 times as good, I have said.
Your maths as ever, absolutely spot on.
Or 4 times, depending on which you base it on, I suppose. As outside the off stump. It goes through to the keeper.
Well,
still a smattering of people. Well, no, more than a smattering. Obviously, the members' enclosure is always better populated because they've already paid their membership fees. But there are still a few in the public enclosures. Not too many, though. Sorry.
Not at all, no. Certainly, it's going to have been a very hard-fought draw by Essex if they achieve it. But looking at the broader picture, they simply must start to put much, much better scores on the board in the first innings.
Yes. As Taylor moves in and bowls, and that's played defensively. And I hate to harp on the same subject, even if only by implication, but they've got to get a bigger and better start, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you'd have to say that some sort of change to the very top of the order has to be at the very least considered quite seriously. And to me, there are definitely options, with Walter in his first game of the season here making a very good 93 in the manner of an opening batsman, really.
Well, yes, exactly.
And we know he can do it because he has done it in the past. Here's Rob Keogh, who's bowled very well here, and this may just be off the pad, or there may have been a bit of inside edge. It's going down towards the fine leg boundary. Vasconcelos chases it, and they come back for 2 leg byes now, confirmed by Tom Lungley, and the score is 288 for 7.
Steve, now not in Istanbul, Steve, confirms sound and pictures were a little iffy, but now live. Fine, I mean.
Thank you, Steve. As here the next ball is swept round and just getting his line wrong in this over, Rob Keogh. He's bowled very well in the innings generally, but he did it a couple of times, got away with it in the previous over. This is 4 runs as Snater sweeps it round, and he moves on from 1 to 5. The score from 288 to 292, 7 wickets down. The Essex lead is up to 95.
Steve says, glad you've now got a fresh piece of string and 2 new paper cups.
Keogh bowls, and this ball is again swept by Snater. This time it'll only be a single, but again, although that wasn't down leg side, but it was sort of pitching middle and leg, and he scored with a single to 293 for 7 and Snater to 6. Keogh getting through his over quickly, is in and bowls, gives us a lot of air, and Wheater just comes forward and dabs the ball down the pitch towards the bowler, and there is no run. But a few boundaries now, I think, would make it very, very difficult, even if Northampton's got the wickets to go on and win this game, as Wheater plays the ball to short mid-wicket. Now, I don't think those boundaries are going to come from Wheater, but I think Snater is beginning to look as if he quite fancies his chances of embellishing his 79 not out in the first innings, as Wheater defends massively to the next ball. You almost felt his nose touching the ground as he came forward there, and 293 for 7 means that Essex now lead by 96 at the end of that over.
Yes, I think Essex need to either get a lot more runs or use up a lot more overs before they're anywhere near safety, because I mean, with a relatively small target, not much more than 100, then the visitors can really go for it initially, can't they? And if they lose wickets, okay, so they shut up shop, but they'd go for anything initially. I think 8 and over.
Well, let's see, we've got you're right, you've got a minimum 31 overs remaining,
-2 between innings. 29.
Yes, no, it can be done.
29's into 96, only go 3 and a bit.
Although I don't think this is the easiest pitch
to
score quickly on, I will say that. Those who've got runs have tended to have to graft for them. Luke Proctor, a prime example in his century for Northants.
Yes. Taylor, a ballooning bouncer that really threatens neither the wicket nor the welfare of Snater. So thanks, Steve, who's now in central Turkey. He does write down the name of the place in brackets. It looks like Elazig. I'm sure it's nothing like Elazig, particularly as there's some form of accent over the G, but never mind. Taylor in again. Played powerfully, forcibly, but only straight to the man at mid-on.
He's looking more and more confident, Snater, at the crease. I know there was no run there, but
he is.
Nice on drive, and well, for me, he's one of the real pluses in this match for Essex. We know that he's proving very, very useful with the ball, and he bowls a much tighter line and length than he was doing when he first came to the club, and at times takes some good hauls of wickets as well. 6 for 36 in the Somerset second innings at Taunton.
Taylor again to Snater, who plays confidently and competently. I interviewed Shane Snater at the close of play yesterday. Now, he's not the most loquacious of the Essex players, but nevertheless he came across as very confident of what he's doing, and a quiet confidence about him that was quite impressive.
Yeah, and I think he's every reason to that. He's gone from being someone who rarely appeared, and when he did, you tended to feel he shouldn't have done, to someone now who you want to see in the side, because he's actually proving one of Essex's better players this season.
As Taylor moves in and bowls to him. There's a lovely whip through the onside, which will beat the fielder to... Oh, will it? No, it won't beat the fielder to the ropes, I beg your pardon. Or beg the fielder's pardon. They went through for 3, but the fielder had to make a lot of ground to his left to field that, but 3 more. I can remember when we first saw Shane Snater, nobody literally amongst Essex ranks had heard of him, and it was down at the Rose Bowl in Hampshire, and we suddenly saw this fellow on the balcony, and we said, "Who's he? Who's that long-haired fella?" And it was Shane Snater, and a total unknown quantity.
Well, it's lovely to see him do well, and he sort of evokes memories of Ryan Tender-Scarter, who we similarly wondered what on earth he was doing here. Well, look what he did.
If he goes on the way that Tender-Scarter did, then Essex will be very pleased with him, and so will the supporters. That's nudged away for a single, backward of square, by... the added applause greets something or other.
100
lead, yes, thank you. Very observant cricket supporters, aren't they? Well,
they are indeed. They are responsible for keeping us on our mettle here and giving us the hint when some sort of landmark's been reached. Yes, I did hear it say, it said, Dick, when Snater came to the club, that Ryan Tender-Scarter had recommended him to the club. At first I wondered what he'd seen in him, but now it's very apparent.
Yes, and it was... Come back to that. Another... Where's that gone? That's gone out to square leg, but again with a real... Well, it wasn't a sort of gentle push, it was a real flourish. And yes, entertaining to watch, and he'll keep the strike because it's the end of the over, with Essex 298 for 7, a lead of 101 with 30 overs left.
Nick Hines emails us to say, to be absolutely honest, I wouldn't mind if it did start raining now. Essex would get the draw and I would be able to watch the West Ham Arsenal game. I'm a Spurs fan and need the Hammers to win. Thank you for that, Nick.
Right, fair enough.
Clive Cole says, why are umpires having to go off the pitch to get replacement balls?
Yes.
And we come to your email after this first ball of a new over from Rob Keogh from the River End. Floodlights are now on, as Dick predicted, and this ball is pulled away by Snater for 4 through mid-wicket, and I knew he wouldn't be able to sort of keep quiet for long. 14 runs, and from a spectator's point of view, very welcome runs. Not so for Northamptonshire's supporters, as the score now goes up to 302 for 7, and the lead to 105. And Clive says, my guess, the umpires are now based in one of the Premier Suite rooms rather than their old umpires' room in the pavilion. There are stewards in attendance at the foot of the steps from the pavilion, but not in front of the Premier Suite. An appeal here. It's not going to be given out by Tom Longley, and the score remaining at 302 for 7. Snater, I'm not sure if he even played at that. 302 for 7 with Snater 14, rapidly catching up Wheater, who's been there for quite some time, doing a good job for the side, let me underline. Wheater's on 19 as Keogh bowls to Snater, and Snater plays it to mid-on. There'll be no run there. Worth remembering that Snater did hit Rob Keogh for one fantastic 6 that nearly came through our window yesterday. End of the over, 302 for 7, a lead of 105. Oh, sorry, it's not the end of the over.
Only another 3 to go.
Keogh's in and bowls, and this ball is swept away, and there's a chase round the boundary here for Safe and Safe, I should have said, and he sent in a very good return. They get a single, and but it would have been 4 had the fieldsman not made such good progress airing round the mid-wicket boundary. Snater doesn't do things in half measures. He really hit that well. He's moved along to 15, 303 for 7.
You could say the fielder was safe as houses. But you wouldn't.
Indeed, I saw you working on that one as Keogh's in and bowls, and this ball is turned round the corner, but it won't produce a run to Wheater, who remains on 19.
You could hear the cogs, could you?
Yeah, I could indeed. Well, at our age, and I mean our age, I think you can. There's no hiding the fact. As we see Keogh come in again, bowls to Wheater again, just tucks it round the corner again. There won't be a run, and that is the end of the over, with Essex 303 for 7, leading by 106, and the light really, although I think it's perfectly playable, particularly against a slow bowler, but the light is closing in, and the floodlights are on.
Yes, indeed. Indeed they are.
Could be a situation, Dick, if it gets any worse, where they might have to say to the fielding side, if there's to be a continuation of play, you'll have to bowl the slow bowlers at both ends.
Yes. But as it is, Taylor is continuing from the Hayes close end, with the sheeting sight screen behind him, on top of the original wooden and somewhat grubby one. But the sheeting one is very, very white and pure. That's outside the off stump. It'd be worthy of any soap powder advert. Put your sight screens in the wash with our soap powder and they'll come out looking beautiful. So, overall situation, 106 ahead, 28.5 overs remaining. The 0.5, as you know, means and 28 and 5 deliveries. Taylor in again to Snater. Snater ducks beneath a very short pitched bouncer, which as it turned out was fairly innocuous, but wasn't bound to be. It might have come through at a lesser height than that which was anticipated.
The Grumbler comes through to us. He says, "Hi, Dick and Paul, Walter and Andrew. Walter was out in the 90s late last season and he repeated his effort today, but his application was excellent. It seemed odd when he was put up to open in the 2020 season,
yes,
but he did okay. It is a thankless task in April and May pitches, but should he replace Brown? Question mark.
As that's outside the off stump. Well, my answer to that question personally would be yes.
Well, I'm afraid I reluctantly have to agree, because he's a super fellow, Nick Brown. You want to see him do well, but the last 3 or 4 seasons have been a struggle for him, if we're honest. He's tended to have one good score in each season, but quite a few low ones. Fairness to him, he often does get a start and sort of make 20, but I think he can't really afford one more game in which he gets 2 low scores, put it that way.
Taylor to Snater. Snater has swept that round the corner. Well, no, it really has swept it, pulled it, helped it on its way for a single down to fine leg.
He's certainly now, and admittedly it's dangerous to say it on the evidence of one game, but he's looking every inch the batsman now, not just a tail ender. And that would be very welcome for Essex, because if you think about it, there have been very few scores of substance from 9-10 Jack for Essex in recent seasons.
Yes, I have. An email from Paul entitled Anagrams. That could be interesting. Well, I'm sure it will be. That's played defensively, trickles out in the offside. Anyone who does the Times crossword might find it difficult not see the name of a defunct jeweller in the rearranged letters of a current Essex all-rounder.
Pringle. No, it's not quite, is it?
Don't remember it. I think the two-division county championship begets the demise of sporting declarations and declaration bowling. Yep, thank you. Well, I do the Times crossword as well, but I think Paul does it better than I. That's outside the off stump. Oh, now you've got us. A current Essex. I'm presuming suggesting maybe not playing at the moment. No. I don't know. What was the defunct jewel? The one where the boss admitted that they made bad jewellery, only he used a more succinct term. And he thought he was being funny or something, and suddenly overnight everybody, their stock price plummeted and the company went out of business. What the heck was that called? I wonder if that's what he's referring to, a defunct jeweller.
Yes, I must admit I'm not doing well with the anagram of an Essex all-rounder here.
No, a current one.
Anyway, it's going to be Rob Keogh, with the lights taking more and more effect. Bowles and Snater defends, and 304 for 7, the lead of 107 on the board, with 16 to Snater, 19 to Wheater. And Keogh prepares to bowl again. The lights really are shining brightly now as comes in, and this ball is swept away in the air. He's going to be caught at mid-wicket, and he's holed out, and that will not go down terribly well in the Essex dressing room. And he could not have located the fieldsman more directly there, never had to move. And I think that was safe save taking the catch. Indeed, that is confirmed. Thank you, Andrew. And 304 for 8. Just slightly opens that door again from a Northamptonshire point of view.
Oh, yes.
And he was playing well, and he's done extremely well in the game, Shane Snater. But in the overall situation of the game, while I don't think it's an offence to play your shots, but hitting that one in the air there, even if he was backing himself to hit it for 6, and right down the fieldsman's throat, was not what those on the balcony, on the Essex balcony, would have been hoping for. 304 for 8.
Out for 16, caught off Keogh. I can remember now the jewel that went out of business, which whose name we can mention because they're no longer in business by definition, was Ratner. Now that's nearly an anagram of Snater, but not quite.
Ah, I see. Yes, I was thinking Paul Perron's actually was meaning an anagram of his own name, but it's an I'm being incredibly dim. It is. It's an anagram of Snater, because he says.
It's not.
Oh.
Because that would. It's not quite.
Yes, I thought he'd sort of implied it was almost, but no, he doesn't quite. Yeah, no, you're right. And we shall. He'll come back to us, I'm sure. And
well, there may be another one.
Yep.
But yes, it was definitely. Well, the jeweller was. Well, there might have been another one, but there was certainly Ratner, where the boss said, our stuff is rubbish. What a shrewd marketing move that was.
Keogh now 3 for 42 in his 28th over.
Time go.
And he's bowled very, very well here. We've got a silly point, forward short leg, backward short leg, and slip, and a short mid wicket as Keogh bowls to Mark Steckerty and plays it to mid wicket. Safe save, and there's no run there. 304 for 8, leading by 107. Dick will make way for Andrew Radd to rejoin us. and that ball goes down leg side, and no run there. And of course we are moving towards a time when, if the game was completely dead, which is not, I hasten to underline, they could be shaking hands in about a quarter of an hour's time, as the next ball is pleasantly driven by Snater back to the bowler.
Well, maybe I'm reading this game differently, but I don't think we're anywhere near that situation yet.
And Keogh's in and bowls to Steketee. Just turns the ball a little stiff-leggedly to Emilio Gay. Under the helmet, his familiar position at forward short leg, bat pad, and 304 for 8 at the end of that over. Maiden and wicket maiden means that the lead remains at 107, but Essex have lost another wicket, and a rather important one, because Snater did so well in that first innings with his 79 not out, but rather injudiciously holed out a little bit needlessly, I think you might say.
Well, yes, I mean, he played. The thing is, he played the stroke successfully, but you can't keep playing it and expecting that, it's going to be safe every time. He was happy enough to hit the ball in the air, which is fine. He's quite entitled to do that. It seemed to me just slightly odd bit of batting, but anyway, he's gone. And here's Tom Taylor running in with a slip in place and bowls short to Adam Wheater, who showed admirable patience here this afternoon. 19 not out of 137 balls to try and take Essex to safety. 304 for 8, so 107 is the lead. 26 overs to go after this one. Looks very much as though the game up at Headingley is going to be a draw, because Kent are 383 for 6 in their second innings. Long partnership between Ollie Robinson and Grant Stewart. They're both closing in on 100, and they look to have defied Yorkshire there, so that looks like being a draw. Here's Taylor in again, bowling to Wheater outside the off stump, and Wheater lets it go through to Lewis McManus. Floodlights on, just the odd spit and spot of rain in the air, but nothing too dreadful at this stage of proceedings. But the light could be an issue. Let's say the lights are on, and as soon as the artificial light takes over from the natural light, then the umpires will start to get a little bit twitchy.
And I could see them continuing to play for the rest of the Essex innings in light rain, but the problem had come starting a new innings in rain.
Yes, that's right. No, I think it's just the odd spit and spot, but it's visible on the window in front of us as Wheater plays the next ball. Defensively out in the offside, fielded by Taylor, and there's no run. In the Division 2 games that are still on, up at Derby, Derbyshire did declare at 349 for 3. That left Glamorgan to chase a frankly unlikely target of 331 to win, and they're 139 for 2. And at Hove, similarly, it's petering out to a draw. Durham 356 for 3 in their second innings, so they're 41 runs ahead with 7 wickets in hand, and you would say that that's almost certain to be a draw as well. Here's Taylor in, bowls outside the off stump to Wheater, who shoulders arms, lets it go through, and just a few more spots of rain now visible on the window in front of us here in the commentary box at the river end of the ground. Ricardo Vasconcelos is signalling to the dressing room about something.
Yes, I don't think any rain that falls will necessarily last for long, because there's quite a brighter area of skyline where the weather's coming from, so I think it would fairly soon be over. I think they'll continue. Just wanted to say Paul Perrong's Dick come back and confirm Dick was right. Yes, chaps, he says they were called Ratners, and it sort of is more or less an anagram of Snater.
Here's Taylor in, bowls to Wheater, who's across his stumps, playing it up to mid-wicket, and there's no run. So were the last 2 wickets to fall quickly, Northamptonshire would be having to chase just over 100 in around about, 22, 23 overs, something like that. Just a touch under 5 and over. They would certainly fancy that, but then, as you say, the light may be an issue. I was looking at the radar, and it looks as though such rain as there is becoming rather more fragmented as it heads eastwards over Essex, so we may be lucky. 2 slips in now as Taylor comes in and bowls, and that's steered through Emilio Gay at backward point, who tried a tumbling stop away to his left, didn't get anything on it as far as I can see, and it ran away for 4 to the delight of the Essex supporters in the Tom Pearce stand away to our right, and that's 4 to Adam Wheater, who goes to 23, 308 for 8 at the end of the over. Taylor's bowled 24 overs, 8 maidens, 3 for 62, and the Essex lead climbs to Nelson, 111, with 26 overs left.
Well, the light is sort of improving even as we speak here, as this lighter area on the skyline begins to move over. I'm afraid that was a bad slip there, because there should have been no run, and there were 4 runs, and with Northampton still in with that tantalising shout, if they can get these last 2 wickets fairly pronto, of giving this a real go, but they don't want unnecessary boundaries added to the total, that's for sure, as Keogh begins a new over from the River End bowls. The ball just turned into the onside, and yeah, just going back to that anagram of Ratner's, to be an anagram of Snater, you'd have to double the R at the end of his name, and sort of Snater. Here the next ball is played into the onside, and there's no run there, and Jonathan Burton came through and gave a version of spelling Snater Snarter, would be another way you could have it as an exact anagram, as the next ball is played to short mid-wicket. Once again there is no run, and still plenty of time should the last 2 wickets go down very quickly for Northamptonshire to have a crack at scoring just over 100. With over 20 overs left still, as this ball is turned round the corner. In practice you would lose 2 overs from that for the change between innings, and Keogh just waiting for Steckety to resume his guard, and appeal for LBW, but that was forlorn. It was clearly going to have struggled to hit another set of stumps as it turned, and would have gone well down leg side, but he's bowled very well, no doubt here, Keogh. 3 for 42 in 28.5, and here's the last ball on its way now. 4 men at each corner surround the batsman, and the wicket-keeper's in there somewhere, but that, I'm afraid, is going to go for byes as it disappears into the distance. They're coming back for a second one. It's pulled up just before the boundary, and just waiting for confirmation from Tom Longley of the signal. 2 byes, 310 for 8 at the end of that over. Add 3 and call it 100 and something, you've got 113, which is the lead. In fact, 113, the current lead for Essex, with Wheater on 23 and Steckety yet to get off the mark.
What is curious is that we were saying about the match down at Southampton in Division 1 between Hampshire and Lancashire, and they haven't played today, but they haven't called it off yet, which is officially slightly surprising, bearing in mind that there is absolutely no prospect of a result. Lancashire have been set 351 to win, were 9 for no wicket at the close last night.
There'll be some rude words said in the press room down there, I think.
Well, yes, I suppose
Andrew,
it's a good day for filling out the stats book and sorting out the expenses and that sort of stuff, but other than that, it's a bit of a wasted day.
You can hear them now saying, call it off, for heaven's sake.
Yes, we've all been there. Right, Saif Zabe is coming back into the attack, having picked up the wicket of Paul Walter earlier in the day.
Good move, I think. I don't think he's been brought back because of the light issue at all.
He's bowling left arm around the wicket, starts off with a full toss that's driven by Wheater up to mid-on, fielded by Luke Proctor, and there's no run. Zabe, after 1 ball round the wicket, is going to come over the wicket, which means that Wheater has to check his guard from umpire Nigel Long. There is a slip, a leg slip, forward short leg, a short extra cover and a short mid-wicket as Zabe comes in. Fires that one in a bit quicker to Adam Wheater, who's on the back foot, playing it up to Taylor at extra cover.
Again, it kept a little bit low, which Zabe tends to make the ball do, and he needs watching.
Yeah, well, he's not the tallest man in the world, Saif Zabe. We just tend to fire it through in white ball fashion. We've given that a bit more air. In fact, he's a full toss, and it's driven up past mid-on, and Luke Proctor couldn't get down to it, and it's run away for 4. And that was, to be honest, a little bit of a gimme. And Adam Wheater taking full advantage, punching that away through mid-on. For 4 runs, he goes to 27, and Essex up to 314 for 8. So the lead climbs to 117, and Zabe switches to round the wicket again, bowls to Wheater, better ball, line and length, and Wheater playing it defensively back down the pitch for Zabe to field, already back at the end of his mark. Bowling again, quicker ball to Wheater, firing them in like little darts, and Wheater playing back, which he thought is probably not quite the best way of dealing with it. Here's Zabe again, bowling fuller and driven out into the covers, short extra fielded there by Taylor. End of a quick over from Safe Zabe in more than one respect. 3 overs, no maidens, 1 for 9, 314 for 8 Essex, so they lead by 117. We have 24 overs remaining. Time is, what, 4:45 here. Still a few spits and spots of rain appearing on the window in front of us. The die-hard spectators in the Tom Pearce stand appear to be donning extra layers as we speak. I can see a gentleman there with what looks like a very fetching pair of skiing gloves. And who can blame him? It's chilly out there now.
Keogh, new over from the river end, well defended by Steckety. 314 for 8, leading by 117. The light markedly better than it was 10 minutes ago, but spin at both ends for the moment as Keogh bowls to Steckety, who plays. He's quite a stylish batsman for a tail ender, and there's a nice shot there, even though it doesn't produce a run, going out into the covers to be retrieved by, well, not retrieved, but straight to Ben Sanderson as Keogh's in again bowls, and Steckety just pushes the ball up to silly point, and score remaining at 314 for 8. And Wheater's batted 148 deliveries for his 27 not out. Next ball's tossed up and played down the pitch, and in its way, although not a pleasure to watch in that it's taken a while for him to score very slowly, but a very invaluable innings if Essex are to glean 8 points for the draw here from Wheater. Discipline has been excellent as Keogh is in bowls, and that's left outside off stump, wasn't going far down. And thank you to Steve Everett for adding his weight to the Ratner's argument from the emails that we've had quite a trail. And Steve also says, can you clear this up? There are 2 overs given for a change of innings, but what if the innings ends mid-over, say ball 2, 3 or 4? Well, that counts as a full over on the reckoning, Steve, as the next ball is played out to square leg. There was really a single there, but they don't take it. Wheater will thus be on strike at the start of the next over. He has 27. And Steckety yet to get off the mark. The score is 314 for 8. The lead is 117. Just to finish the email, is the break calculated as 15 balls or only 9? No, as I say, the over in which the last wicket goes down is simply regarded as a full and complete over in that reckoning. So you then take the 2 overs off between innings. You say, hoping for the Essex boys to stick fast, the required run rate is getting to 4.5 for Northants, who are playing well. Thank you very much, Steve.
Zabe starting a fresh over, round the wicket to Adam Wheater, who has for company forward short leg, leg slip, slip, short mid wicket and a short extra cover. First ball plays solidly enough. Zabe in again, bowls to Wheater and just turns that on the onside past the left hand of Emilio Gay at forward short leg. Goes out to mid wicket where it's fielded by Ben Sanderson, and there's no run. Northamptonshire needing to pick these 2 wickets up as quickly as they possibly can if they'd have any chance of winning this game. Not there though. Adam Wheater, who's been admirably patient and defiant and skillful, plays that ball back down the pitch for Zabe to field. He's in again, bowling to Wheater, who's forward, pushing it up to mid-on, fielded by Proctor. And there's no run. Zabe already back at the end of his mark. 3 short steps and then bowls, and Wheater is playing defensively back down the pitch, fielded again by Zabe off his own bowling. Now as we get to this stage of the over. Backward point is being pulled up from the boundary into the ring. The next ball is played up towards mid-wicket by Wheater, and that's the end of an over that I suspect, and we didn't have the watch on it, but it was almost Kerrigan-esque in its brevity. I suspect we have timed Simon Kerrigan bowling an over under a minute, and I strongly suspect that would have been about the same. End of the over, a maiden of course, 4 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 9 for safe save. Essex 314 for 8, so they lead now by 117 and 22 overs remaining, less the deduction if that becomes relevant.
Northants have to hope that we're not seeing spin at both ends, because they've been told that if the players to continue, that they can only bowl the slow bowlers, because although that may not harm in terms of their bowling Essex out, at the start of the Northants innings it would do, because you can bet your bottom dollar that Essex would say, well, we are going to bowl our quicker bowlers, and then the umpires would say, well, you can't. Game over.
It doesn't seem to me unreasonably dark out there at the moment.
Well,
to be
exactly.
honest, especially with the lights.
I think it's perfectly all right.
I don't think I wouldn't have thought there's a problem.
And it's much better than it was when the quicker bowlers were on. You know, about 15 minutes ago. The light has improved since then. On the other hand, I don't think it'll actually get any better still, as the next delivery, the first of a new over from Keogh, is played down to Kelly at mid-on by Mark Steckety, surrounded by close fielders. But this is a bit of a wasted delivery, pass leg stump. And we've got 2 slips, a silly point, a backward short leg and a forward short leg, all virtually within touching distance of Mark Steckety, who faces the next delivery, and he's clubbed this one over the infield. Now there's nobody out deep for him in the way that there was for Snater, and that produces a boundary. And he is a strong lad, Steckety. He knows how to put bat to ball, and that brings him off the mark. He has 4 and scored to 318 for 8, and the lead to 121.
Well, Northamptonshire have now spent very nearly 220 overs in the field, which of course was their choice. They decided to enforce the follow-on, but there'll be some tired legs out there, Paul.
Absolutely. Keogh is in bowls. An appeal, is he caught behind? Northamptonshire thinks so, but Tom Longley doesn't.
I'm not sure Rob Keogh was convinced. The keeper went up and the slips went up, and Rob Keogh almost went up as a little bit of an afterthought there.
Good spot.
Auto-suggestion, I think they call it. But I'm not convinced about that.
And Keogh's back in and bowls to Steckety, who defends up to forward short leg. Just wanted to acknowledge Paul Perrong's coming back and saying, thanks Paul, sorry for the approximate anagram. Unfortunately, every time I see Snater's name, I think of that jeweller, and I don't think I'll get out of the habit. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Paul. And next ball's tossed up and smashed down the ground for 4. It wasn't a million miles off being a catch to mid-on, but it wasn't a catch at all, and goes to the boundary. 2 in the over for Steckety, and he moves up to 8, 322 for 8. Wheater has 27. Very different tactics from Wheater at one end, and whether it be Snater or Steckety at the other, they're not having any of this blocking.
No, they're not. It was interesting. It was one of those where, as it was, everybody's saying great shot, and about a foot to the left, and it would have been straight down.
Absolutely right.
Matthew Kelly's throat at mid-on. But
on another hand, they can turn around and say, well, every time we hit the boundary,
no, absolutely.
we're taking the game away from Northants. 125 the lead now.
No, absolutely right. There's justification for either approach, and players are out there and they have a better idea of what's happening and whether the ball's doing anything at all, and whether the risk is worth taking. As Zabe starts another over, and it's pushed up towards short mid-wicket, and safe Zabe obligingly prevents Ben Sanderson from having to bend down at mid-wicket, and trots across the field off his own bowling. 322 for 8, and blocked by Wheater. We've said that a time or two, but what a valuable innings this has been. Adam Wheater, who was out bowled middle stump playing no shot in the first innings. He certainly made amends here. Is Zabe again, bowls to Wheater defensively forward, just on the onside of the pitch. Zabe fields off his own bowling. 158 balls he's been out there for now, for his 27 runs.
Nothing more frustrating for a bowling side.
Here's Zabe, fires that one in again, and Wheater playing it back down the pitch for Zabe to field. And again, there's no run. It'd be good if nothing else for Northamptonshire's over rate, which was level at tee, I think. So they wanted to make sure they didn't fall the wrong side of that particular line. Next ball is played defensively up the offside of the pitch by way of variety. And Zabe coming across the field, still a slip, a leg slip, forward short leg in place. As Zabe from the Hayes close end gets that one to bounce a little bit, but it's well played by Adam Wheater, drops it down at his feet, and that's the end of another over. 27 to Wheater and 8 to Steckety. Essex 322 for 8, leading by 125, and you just sense now, I think, that Northamptonshire are beginning to realise that this game is, well, if not quite out of their grasp yet, you would suspect another 2 or 3 overs, and it's going to start to get very difficult for them to chase this down. Bearing in mind, people saying at tea time downstairs, oh, you know, play it as a T20 game. Difference is that in this situation, Essex could have everybody on the boundary if they wanted. There's no fielding restrictions. They can put everybody exactly where they want.
That's such a good point. I know Dick was saying reasonably enough 20 minutes ago that he thought there was still a lot of cricket to be played, but that is how you can make it very difficult for sides to achieve a scoring rate that in other circumstances might be achievable. And this ball has gone on into the stumps after hitting Steckety's bat, and there he's played on, and it's 322 for 9, and it is a fascinating finish, because every time you just about have made up your mind that the game is all but over, it isn't, and Steckety departs rather ironically, having taken risks and hit 2 boundaries. He gets out just trying to block, and he might even be leaving and sort of saying, I told you we should have played it my way, to those in the dressing room. He's out bowled by the admirable Keogh.
He's unlucky, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Just jabbed down on it, rolled back onto his stumps, and it is one of those, we used to say, just when you thought games, when just when you thought that, again, this was just drifting out of Northamptonshire's grasp. It may still be beyond Northamptonshire's grasp for the reasons we've explained, but they have got Essex 9 down. If they could nip out Sam Cook,
he's coming
quickly
to the crease now, the lead 125. Just wanted, while we've got a break, to read John Bootman's email. He says, hello team, having watched the entire match this weekend, my opinion has changed regarding the demise of county cricket. I've been really concerned over its existence for the last 2 years, with the over-promotion of the white ball game and the relegation of county and test cricket to the football season. Although a draw is now odds on, this has been a genuinely fascinating match, helped of course by professional, entertaining and informative commentary. Thank you for that. You say, eagerly looking forward to the rest of the county season, but being an old fuddy-duddy, I'm not in the least bit interested in the shortened versions of the game. Thanks, John. And now Sam Cook is ready. 5 men round the bat. Keogh with 4 wickets already bowls, and Cook defends resolutely. 322 for 9, with Keogh 4 for 50 in 31.1.
Keogh hasn't taken a fifer in first-class cricket since he took 9 for 52 6 years ago.
Well, he won't quite have it here, but it's a decent delivery which Cook has fended off up to forward short leg, one of 5 men surrounding the bat.
He only has 1 5 or more wickets in an innings, and that was the 9 for 52 2016.
As the next ball is played back by Sam Cook to the bowler, Rob Keogh. 322 for 9. We have still got 19.2 overs left. You'd have to take 2 off the gap between innings. Cook not very convincing in his defensive work here, but nevertheless it's effective as he stabs the ball up to Silly Point, who is fielding on his knees there. Something we saw Tender Carter do on many an occasion close to the batters. Keogh is in and bowls, and shorter, flatter delivery, and played up to Silly Point. The end of the over, 322 for 9. Wheater still out there on 27.
The only observation I would make, Paul, is that Northamptonshire's first 2 matches of this Championship Division 1 season have each gone to the last over. The game against Gloucestershire, when Northamptonshire had made a surge for victory, try and chase down that target on the last afternoon, but in the end had to play out the last over, and they could have lost their 9th wicket in that last over and might have subjected Ben Sanderson to the ordeal of having to go out and block the last couple of balls for the draw, but in fact Ryan Higgins dropped a return catch, And then the game against Yorkshire, of course, when Northamptonshire blocked it out for 4 sessions to save the match. So Northamptonshire have previous this season when it comes to games going the entire distance, literally. Here's Zabe from the Hayes close end, bowling to Adam Wheater. They need to get Cook down the other end ideally. Flights up, driven straight to short extra, where it's well fielded by Tom Taylor on the perch, and Ricardo Vasconcelos gesturing the fielders back because they want to give Wheater a single if possible, and he should get more than a single here. He's driven that nicely away through extra cover, and he's going to run away for 4. That's a beautifully timed shot by Adam Wheater. Spotted the gap, even though they dropped Tom Taylor back from his position at short extra. He was able to thread it through the field, and it runs away for 4. Wheater to 31 rather. Essex to 326 for 9.
31 on his back and 31 to his bat.
Yeah, he's played well, hasn't he?
He has. I reckon now that Northampton need about 8 and over from here.
Here's Zabe in again, bowls to Wheater, pushing it up towards Long On, who's on the boundary, and Zabe was sort of shadowing it and saying, "Come on, Adam, go for the single." Well, Wheater's not going to be gold into that one. Here's Zabe again. This time they are going to take the single because it's the 4th ball of the over, so Northamptonshire are going to have a couple of deliveries at the last man, Sam Cook, as Wheater's happy enough to take the single down to Long On. 327 for 9, Wheater to 32. The lead is 130, so if the wicket falls off one of these last 2 balls, it's going to be a question of chasing 130 in 16 overs.
Yes, it's almost exactly, it's just the merest fraction over 8 and over. Not impossible at all, but you can bet there'd be some pretty defensively set fields, as you were intimating.
Slip, gully, leg slip, forward short leg, silly point, round the bat as Sam Cook defends that first ball up past the right hand of silly point out into the covers, where it's fielded by Proctor, and there's no run, so plenty of company for Sam Cook, as you would imagine. Vasconcelos now, of course, saying that the fielders in the ring should drop back to give him the single, but Cook again is equal to the task, blocks it back down the pitch. Zabe snatches at the ball, slightly frustrated, end of the over, 32 to Wheater. Cook yet to get off the mark, 327 for 9, Essex 130 runs ahead, and another over ticks by. We have 18 to go, and that is the official last hour, as gestured by the umpire as we get to 5 o'clock.
Just going to hand over to Dick. Andrew, if you continue talking.
Yep, just pointing to his watch to suggest that that is going to be officially the last hour. So, 18 overs remaining. Northamptonshire feel have probably got to, I would say, have got to get this last wicket in the next 2 overs. I think if it goes beyond that, then the chase may well be a little bit beyond them. But we shall see. They have a slip, silly point, forward short leg, leg slip, bringing the man in to save the one at mid-wicket as Keogh runs in again, Dick.
And Wheater pushes his pad forward and allows it to go by into the wicketkeeper's gloves. Yes, I agree with your analysis, certainly, of what's required. And that's worked well on the onside. They won't think about taking the single. It was easily there for the taking.
Yeah, they took one, was it 4th ball of the previous over to give Cook a couple of balls, but I think maybe the 2nd ball of the over might be a little bit optimistic.
Keogh in again to Wheater. Wheater comes down the wicket to get to the pitch of the ball, which he does successfully, and just plays it back to the bowler.
But how well Adam Wheater's played here.
He has really well, yes.
Diligence personified, really has done his job for Essex, and now Long Off is being beckoned in. Luke Proctor, who was on the long off boundary, comes up to mid-off.
As Keogh moves in and bowls, over-pitched, and Wheater's taken the single there, but down to deepish backward point, 3/4 of the way to the boundary. Off the 4th ball of the over, so
yeah, 2 to go.
Cook has 2 to face. And he's often used as a night watchman, so yeah, he's no rabbit.
Well, he hung around a while in the first innings, didn't he?
Yes.
With kept Snater company.
Yes. And Cook goes forward. He's a big man. There would have been a single there, but they decline it. Yeah, it's quite a tall fella, so he can get to the pitch of the ball quite comfortably. But yes, he's there are. Well, I was going to say there are worse number 11s in the country. There probably are, but there are no really bad ones nowadays.
Not really.
No, that is one of the benefits of one-day cricket. That's just played out quietly at the last ball over. Yes, one-day cricket has meant that quite frequently, or certainly not infrequently, it's the bowlers who have to come in at the end and score the winning runs. So, yep, they can all bat a bit much more than.
Yes, I think the days of the genuine rabbit.
Yes, they got
likes of. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying so. Dear old Jim Griffiths, and who. There's a piece in his benefit brochure, I remember, a testimonial brochure, which described him as the Wally of the Willow.
Oh, brilliant.
Is Zabe round the wicket, starting a fresh over to Wheater, who plays the first ball to forward short leg, fielded there by Emilio Gay. There is a slip for Wheater, a slipper leg slip, a forward short leg. 2 men on the drive. Zabe flighting that ball up. Wheater defensively forward, pushes it up to forward short leg, where it's fielded again by Emilio Gay, just moving away to his left. The lights on, a bit murky, and that again just bounced and turned a little bit, and it was well played by Wheater. It's just the odd one doing a little bit still, just to keep the bowlers interested. It's almost teasing them. You think it's going to do a little bit more overall than it actually does. And he's Zabin again, Wheater, front foot smothering the spin. Pushes it up towards Proctor at mid-on, but Zabe comes round to field. And there's no run. Here's Zabe in again, flights that one up a little bit more, and just a semblance of turn away from the right-hander, but Wheater again right in behind it. They shall not pass. Here's Zabe again. Bowls to Wheater, who's defensively forward, back down the pitch. Another over ticks past. Zabe has bowled 7 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 14. Wheater 33, and Cook yet to get off the mark. And that is that. They've decided that enough is enough, and that we did say unless Northamptonshire got the last couple of wickets in the next 2 overs, 2 or 3 overs, it was going to be a bit much. Well, fortunately, the players have agreed with us. It was quite nice when they're actually on the same wavelength, and that is it. Match draw. Well played Essex, because they did follow on, say 197 behind, and after an appalling second day for Essex and a terrific second day for Northamptonshire, Essex have basically batted here 145 overs in this innings, 80 overs in the first innings, so Northamptonshire have been out there for 225 overs. So, yeah, there might be a few ice baths in evidence, I suspect, at the end of this. But well played Adam Wheater. He finishes 33 not out off 174 balls. And, well, did his job absolute to perfection as far as Essex are concerned. Cook finishing not out naught. And Essex 328 for 9. The match is drawn. Northampton should take 13 points. Essex take 10. I suppose from Northampton's point of view, they would say, yeah, 38 points from 3 games. We'd probably have snapped your hand off before the start of the season if you'd offered them that. But I suppose on the other side of the coin, they will say that they were in a position to win 2 of those 3 games against Gloucestershire and against Essex. They had chances, put themselves into a winning position, and haven't managed to convert either of them into a win. On the other side of that coin, obviously against Yorkshire, they were pretty comprehensively outplayed for much of the match and managed to get away with the draw. But from Essex's point of view, that'll be 43 points from 4 matches, and Essex, well, next up for them, Yorkshire, I think, Dick.
Yes, it is. Yes, yeah, on Thursday. Well, I think Essex, they could almost say they got away with that one, and I always look at these things totally objectively. I've been doing the job long enough, and I think over the 4 days, Northants were the better side, but on the other hand, they didn't winkle out the last few Essex wickets, so well done Essex, yes. And but I'm still inclined to think that, you know, the fact that Essex got away with it, it's still inclined to paper over some cracks in the Essex lineup, and I doubt that we'll see exactly the same lineup when Yorkshire pay a visit on Thursday.
No, well, Northamptonshire, of course, head to the Oval on Thursday to play Surrey, and I imagine, just talking to John Sadler last night, you suspect, particularly the bowling attack, there may be a change or two. I would imagine Simon Kerrigan may well come into the equation. I know there's people at home that like to keep the scorecards up to date, so I will run through the bowling figures. Ben Sanderson, 22 overs, 7 maidens, no wicket for 40. Gareth Berg, 20 overs, 5 maidens, no wicket for 52. So Bergerson going wicketless on this occasion. Tom Taylor, I think pretty much the pick today. 24 overs, 8 maidens, 3 for 62. Luke Proctor, 17 overs, 8 maidens, 1 for 34. Matt Kelly, 22 overs, 6 maidens, no wicket for 48. Rob Keogh, 33 overs, 17 maidens, 4 for 51. So well bowled Rob Keogh, was excellent today. And Saif Zaib, 7 overs, 3 maidens, 1 for 14, did break that big partnership and getting the key wicket of Paul Walter a little bit earlier on. There are 41 extras, 10 no balls, 4 wides, 18 byes and 9 leg byes, and Essex finishing on 328 for 9. Match drawn. Thanks very much indeed for your company, Dick and Paul, over the last 4 days, or last 2 days, and before that to Glenn and Don, of course.
Well, thank you indeed, Andrew. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you. I think it's not till September, by which time
last game of the season, I think.
Yes, so by then we'll very obviously know which way the season's going, or it might even be by which way the season's already gone. But it's been an interesting game. I would say one for the connoisseur rather than for the the lovers of seeing too many sixes and razzmatazz. But it's the stuff of county cricket, and long may it live. So it's Essex get away with it, to my reckoning, with 10 points. Northants 13, which is probably a fair reflection of the two sides. And please do tune in again on Thursday from just before 11 o'clock, when Essex will take on mighty Yorkshire.